Brad and Joey are coming with this huge run up top, and Stenhouse was there somewhere. I don't know if he was in that train with those guys or what. But anyways, Herbst throws this. It's an insane block, right? Like it's stupid to move up there and try to take away that position. Like you were gonna get wrecked no matter what.
So Denny brought this up, and he had all his SMT data and stuff. Says Riley Hurts
probably. Get Denny Hamlin on the podcast. Yeah. I mean, that's what I sorry, go ahead.
Following is a production of the Garage Area.
All right, welcome into the Garage Area. This is our post-Daytona 500 recap show. And we see Tyler Reddick end up getting the victory in the Daytona 500. There's quite a bit to talk about after that one, at least in my opinion. Where do we even start? Let's start with our picks. Let's get our picks and the rating of the race out of the way. We're doing our season-long challenge a little bit different than we did last year. Last year we tried to pick the driver that we thought would finish the highest in the race, preferably win, but we could only choose that driver 3 times a year. So now when we put out our pick videos on race day morning, we're going to pick the driver we think will win the race, and that has nothing to do with our season-long challenge. Instead, we're going to do it door bumper clear style, where we have to pick from a list of drivers. We can only use them once until the chase starts. My pick to win the race was Joey Logano. My pick for the Garage Area Challenge was Cody Ware. Both ended up doing fairly well. And Ryan, you had Bubba Wallace in our season-long challenge, and you had Ryan Blaney for the race winner. Didn't fare quite as well there.
No.
What were the results of both those things? Do you have that info offhand?
I know Ryan Blaney finished. I'm on the wrong thing here. See, Cody Ware, for our season-long standings, Cody Ware finished 17th and Bubba Wallace finished 10th. So yeah, I do not have the finish. Joey Logano, I think, finished 3rd. I know Ryan Blaney got caught up in, I think, that last lap wreck, so I don't have his pulled up here, but
yeah, I don't know exactly where he landed either, but it wasn't a great finish for Blaney. He had some things to say after the race. We'll get to that. So ultimately, your pick to win the race, Ryan Blaney, he had a good day. There was a time that I actually saw him further back in the pack, and it was during the fuel saving thing. And to me, it was just like, that's definitely what he's doing back there. Like, I know he can't go to the front, but he's also not trying to either. He's just in a position where he wants to save his fuel. I mean, I don't know that that's necessarily what he wanted to do, but it gave him the opportunity to save his fuel, and he was going to be able to have an opportunity to come to the front later when it became time to race, and just ended up getting swept up in an accident before that took place. Logano ran up front all day, led quite a few laps even. I don't know what the actual number was, and ended up getting crashed off of turn 4. I was so disappointed when I saw him make that big move going into 1 where he slipped underneath. I'm not sure who it was, but Reddick was on the bottom. It might have been the 43 that he got underneath. Anyways, and I'm like, hey, there he goes. Like he's 1 spot out of the lead now. And as soon as he got out into clean air, I thought as I was watching it that he didn't have the help to push him, but it turns out that, as he said after the race, that once he put that car in the wind, it just was a parachute because he had a little bit of damage from the previous accident. So overall, I think that we gave out some pretty decent picks for this race. Guys that did have good days, and our Garage Area Challenge picks, you finished better than I did, but Cody Ware didn't disappoint nearly as much as he does in the point standings throughout the rest of the year. I want to talk about the rating of the race, and I want to see where you place this. I'm going to be very interested in that because, well, I'll tell you why, but I'm not going to give you any numbers until after you make your pick or give your rating. I was listening to the Teardown, and you don't listen to that podcast, do you?
No, I watch a couple clips here and there, but that's it.
I was listening to that, and when it came time for them to do the Gluck poll, where they thought it was going to land, and Jordan gave his pick, I was like, that's not bad. That's actually a little bit lower than I'd probably rate it. And Jeff was just laughing and laughing at him. And I'm like, what? And Jeff was saying that he's going to get obliterated in this because there's no way it's going to be that high. So I think I've got it through the roof compared to what the actual rating is going to be. But I'm curious to know where you have it rated at.
Um, uh, for the most part, I think I would give it a 7 out of 10. Um, just that one lull in stage 3 where they were like 3 wide, and it's almost like you can. It almost feels like I could drive doing that, like just going down the freeway around the racetrack, and that was the only part that really disappointed me about the race, other than being a Chase Elliott fan and having your heart ripped out coming to the start finish line. But um, overall, you could say there was some questionable call on if a caution should have been thrown or not, but I think it provided a pretty exciting finish. And I think even stages, and even with some of the fuel mileage strategy during the stages, did make some things interesting. So how some of those Fords are able to stay out and whatnot. So um, I give it a 7 out of 10.
That seems to be about the average. I think Gluck offered a 7. No, I think he actually gave it lower than that, and he said he'd be shocked if it broke 70% based on what he saw online. Um, and that was largely due to the fuel saving thing. I think that people were complaining about. Um, I'm sure that the car in general is something that people complain about still, including myself. I'm not exempting myself from that, but I actually thought the race as a whole, I thought it was very good. And maybe I need to measure that, or that is how I measure it, is by what my blood pressure was throughout the race, because my heart was beating out of my chest there on those. Oh, honestly, after the last pit stop, I was just like, okay, now here we go. Let's let's see what's going to happen. I know that they spend a lot of time saving fuel, and I know that that's a thing that's taken place in the past. I've got some things to say about that, but we're not going to get there yet, and I'm just going to go ahead and put my 8.5 rating on this race. I was happy with it. All the build, maybe it's just the anticipation of the Daytona 500, maybe it's the prestige of that race itself, but I was disappointed with the finish because obviously Logano got wrecked, but it didn't lack for excitement. I didn't think, other than like you said, the fuel saving thing in the middle of that stage there. But yeah, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. Um, I just wanted to point out a couple things about the race, kind of the build up to the race itself before we get to actually going through what happened during the Daytona 500. Um, One thing that I saw this week, and I assume that this means that it's the total payout for all drivers, but the purse for the race was $31,045,575. That's the largest in motorsports history. I think that's pretty cool that the Daytona 500 has that moniker to it, especially when all the rich people watch Formula One. I think that that's pretty awesome that it's just the NASCAR guys that end up with that huge purse, and obviously the Daytona 500, the biggest race of the year. Do you care that people compare it to the Super Bowl?
Um, mm, I don't know. It never bothered me. I wouldn't compare it to a Super Bowl, but I mean, I don't know. I hate comparing it to other sports. I'd much rather compare it to other automotive sports. Maybe I'd equate the Daytona 500 with like the Indy 500. I don't know. F1 has their, was it a Monaco or something, Grand Prix or whatever that is, or um that's I'd compare it to more of that style. I don't know if it's, to me, a Super Bowl or a championship are the same thing.
Well, I mean, it is the race that you're referred to as a champion, a Daytona 500 champion. And I do agree that that fits the IndyCar model a little bit better with the Indy 500 because you didn't win a season-long championship if you win this race, but you are known as a Daytona 500 champion. You get a championship ring, an awesome trophy, all that kind of stuff. But uh, I get the desire to relate it to normal fans because, again, this is probably the race that people that aren't familiar with NASCAR are going to watch is the Daytona 500. So I get that there has to be some sort of bridge of communication there to let people know how big a deal this race is. But I do agree that in general, I just prefer leaving the stick and ball analogy out of NASCAR. This is its own thing. It doesn't you can't compare it to something else. Uh, we watched the dual races together. That was pretty awesome. Getting to see our drivers win each duel. Joey Logano won duel 1. Chase Elliott won duel 2. Bubba Wallace got in a wreck in the first duel. He took out Busher, Smith, Byron. Some good cars. Uh, Corey LaJoy ended up getting wrecked by Daniel Suarez. And duel 2 was a lot tamer until after inspection, because Anthony Alfredo ends up transferring in, very excited, very emotional, just nearly bawling his eyes out on pit road. And then when we shut stuff down and I went up to bed and I was scrolling Twitter, and maybe it was actually the next morning, somewhere along the line, I opened Twitter and I looked and it was like, yeah, McLeod's in and Alfredo's out. I'm like, what? What? And what did you think about the DQ? Rules are rules. You got to maintain the rules. I understand all that, but did you think that what he got disqualified for, being a hose improperly attached, was worthy of him having his heart ripped out like that?
I mean, rules are rules. I guess some crew chiefs or crew members said that, especially the driver's side, if that does come undone, it does decrease the drag of your car, and um, he needed some more decreased drag because of the wreck he was involved in earlier. But he, I mean, every other car must know how to properly fasten the hose to the was it aqueduct or whatever they had to. So um, I don't know if it was just a oversight of the attaching them or it was deliberate or not. But rules are rules, and that's I think that was I can't think of the word I want to say.
They made a good call with that.
Made a good call, yeah.
Okay. I don't really dispute that. That's, again, rules. You got to follow them. I feel really bad for Alfredo, but other than that, I mean, it's got to be attached. I don't know what to tell you. It's just it really stinks that that's the circumstance that it took place in. Did you see Denny Hamlin fishing during final practice?
I saw a clip of it on Twitter. I didn't watch final practice, but yeah.
I didn't watch it either. I just saw the I just saw the meme of him sitting there baiting a hook while cars were on the racetrack. That's awesome. Somebody said that they definitely need to clip that if he ended up winning 500, which he was in position until he got taken out. But uh, I guess that brings us to the race itself. We got the Daytona 500. Green flag drops. Kyle Busch is leading them to the green. Honestly, KB had a pretty decent day. Ran up front a lot. Didn't necessarily get the finish that he needed to get, but BJ McLeod, that car that did transfer in because Alfredo got DQ'd, was the first wreck of the day. And did you ever get an answer on what happened to him?
Harvick speculated that he thought a wheel came off, and kind of when you watch the replay, you see sparks before the tire like blows, and it's almost like when the wheel comes off and it rides on that lower A arm bolt or something and rips the rim out. Um, that that was what happened. I almost think that's probably what happened, but I don't think it was ever confirmed. He a lot of these smaller teams, I don't know if it's the same thing that happened with Alfredo and the duels, whether it was just an oversight. These teams are small teams and they maybe not double checking their checklist before they go out or properly torquing their tires. I don't know, but that's looked like that's what happened.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It did bang up William Byron a little bit, and I actually thought that the that was gonna hinder the three-peat opportunity. And then he got involved in another wreck later on, if I'm not mistaken, and he was still up there in the front of the field when it was time to pay the money. And I thought to myself, man, he's gonna have a shot to win this thing again. Uh, Kyle Busch was not happy with John Hunter Nemechek early in the race and how he was racing. That certainly seemed to be the theme all weekend, in my opinion. When I saw John Hunter, he always seemed to be in a position to where it was just bad. Like he was doing something wrong every time I saw him.
Um, I think a lot of guys were probably racing more aggressive than they needed to be, making blocks. especially later, Allgaier doing the same thing. You know, but, yeah, I don't know. Just Kyle Busch is probably upset with everybody all the time, but that's him as a whole. But
Yeah, Kyle is generally a grumpy old man anymore. Uh, the fuel saving issue was a big topic, and it was something that people were very much. We knew that going into this race. Like, we knew that this was going to be a fuel saving race somewhere along the line, then that this was going to play into the finish and pit stops and all that, because when they decide to lay it on the floor, it's hard to pass everybody because you're all three wide going the same speed all out, and it's hard to make moves and pass. I actually do, though, think that this race that was easier than I've seen in the next gen car so far. Do you agree with that?
yeah, I felt like people could push guys around, swap lanes and stuff at the front. I feel like if you were far enough back in the pack and it got three wide, it kind of got congested. But it was um it was one of the better restrictor plate races we've had.
I've heard that people have said that, well, with this, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. Like, now that everybody knows that fuel saving is a big deal and it's an advantage on the plate races, on the super speedway races, then it's never going to change. You're never going to do anything different than that. You're always going to save fuel because that's just the way it is. I disagree with that, and maybe somebody smarter than either of us can tell me why. Maybe you can. Um, but my reason being, if tires were a factor, if they wore out to the point to where putting new tires on was an advantage, which is partially an abrasive racetrack that we don't have, but if there was some issue where the rubber to the racetrack handling, mechanical grip became a factor in this race, and you had to change tires, you're going to take more fuel. Do you agree or disagree?
I agree with that. Also, another comment was made. I got halfway through Denny Hamlin's podcast before I came over, and they was talking about taking the drag out of these cars and making handling worse because they're so stuck to the track. Less drag would be less downforce and even force guys to lift and control their car. Less drag, fuel mileage. Um, I almost think you put less drag in these cars and they're just going to naturally want to go faster. I think that was one of the better solutions I heard. I know I've heard Dale Jr. talk about drag too, and Dale said take the whole spoilers off. So that's just one of the options I think they should try to.
Yeah, but I mean, ultimately, the issue is reduced pit stop time is going to put you further to the front of the field, which is going to make the valuable track position what you're looking for. I mean, am I interpreting that correctly?
You're right about that, but I think with less drag, if you get better fuel mileage, the ratio of fuel spent to having put in is going to be less also. So I mean, if you're burning less fuel all across the board, I think the advantage of saving fuel is far less.
Yeah, I would. I can see your point there. I definitely want to see the fuel saving thing go away, be less of a factor. Whatever it takes to get that done, I'm in favor of. But I don't know exactly what it would take in order to make that happen scientifically. But I don't feel like it's so far out of reach that it's not possible. I think you could do it with this race car, which I didn't at one time think. I mean, you're gonna have to make some modifications to it, but I as much as I wish that we could move away from this car, if we could just start improving it in some fashion, I'll be encouraged. And I've been very encouraged with what I've seen, moves that the whole sport has made recently, and I've said that before. So I'm going to stand by that and say that hopefully we can continue to move forward.
I know people are saying this is because of stage racing plays out in fuel saving. We've been doing stage racing since what, 2014, 15, somewhere in there. Wasn't until the next gen came along that this really took off and everyone was going half throttle around the racetrack. Denny Hamlin talked about even the first time testing the car, says he got a run, went to make it pass, and it was like a parachute, and obviously he knows he was one of the better restrictor plate drivers before this next gen. And I mean, he ran up front a lot. I'm not saying that he maybe just had bad luck since the next gen car, but I think I think drag has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I think the drag's definitely a big factor. Um, you know, I'm not married to my idea of making tires wear out. I just whatever it takes to make fuel strategy not the biggest issue. I don't care if it still plays a factor. I just don't want it to be the biggest factor in the race, and I think that most people would agree with that. Uh, your protege and the guy that you are, borderline in love with, Connor Zilch, ended up finding his way to the lead and ends up wrecking 8 other cars, including Briscoe and Dillon, once he made it there. Do you think that that was just the inexperience of a rookie up front of the Daytona 500? What do you think happened there?
Was that one Cody Ware was in a little bit too? There were so many little instances. I'm trying to remember which one's which, but he seemed pretty aggressive trying to side draft because he made contact. Was it Allgaier?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that wreck started 300 yards before they actually crashed.
yeah. So I probably a little too much aggression, um, inexperience with this car. I don't know if he raced a restricted plate last year or not with this car. Um, Probably just a rookie, just trying to do rookie things.
And then the seasoned veteran does the exact same thing, pretty much. Of Justin Allgaier, right after that incident, Allgaier causes a big wreck by throwing up. You can't even call that throwing a block. That's like going to slap somebody and then tapping them on the side of the face. Like it was so lazily drifting up there into that lane to try to block the run. Who was even in the run coming?
Denny Hamlin.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, he brought that up on the podcast too. And he said Allgaier took full credit of the wreck, yeah, 100%. And Denny Hamlin says, I'll take 20%. Because that was probably a little bit of an aggressive move to try and squeeze that hole. Him and his co-host were talking back and forth, and it seemed like Allgaier probably never meant to really go low to block the low line like he was going to come up with block. He was just kind of making a lower natural high line move. Probably didn't expect them to have that run coming above him by the time he was going to get back in line. Denny Hamlin was there, um, so Hamlin took a little bit of credit for it too.
Yeah. Um, it's Allgaier's fault. That's the way that I'm looking at that. It's a shame too because they actually had a strong race car. I mean, not only did I know that they were concerned about making the show and everything that goes along with that, and the fifth Hendrick car coming down there trying to make the field and do all that. But do you think they gave him the 48 stuff?
I doubt it.
I mean, he never heard from the 48 all weekend until he was wrecked, and then he ended up, with a 40 car, was leading the field at one point.
Well, I mean, he was wrecked in a dual race, or Bowman, and he was wrecked again in the second stage there. So I don't know. Just you're already starting in the back of the backup car, and then you get halfway up the back and get wrecked with that backup car again. So I don't know.
Alex Bowman doing Alex Bowman things. I don't know if you caught this or not. I did see it a couple times, but the first time I saw it, it just cracked me up. Austin Cindric was involved in one of those wrecks, and he was, as they were showing the cars coming down the back straightaway, the whole pack, he's like the car just leaving the screen because he's, a lapper at this point. Uh, he's going into three as they're coming off at two, and you can see his car as you would normally expect one to be pointed down the backstretch. It's literally 45 degrees at an angle. It was as sideways as that body could be on that race car. It was just comical how sideways that car looked. I didn't notice that before the wreck, so it obviously had to have something to do with that, would be my guess. But did Denny address, since you have worked ahead here a little bit and teacher's pet in this class and listened to his podcast, did he address Heim pushing Hamlin into Bell and causing that wreck?
That one I haven't. No.
That was my perspective of it. Heim just got a little off center, pushed Hamlin sideways, and hooked the 20 in the process. And
he did talk a little bit about it, but I think I kind of missed part of that conversation. I was still working on a couple other things while that was going on. So
you read ahead, but you weren't paying attention, is what you're telling me. This was kind of during that whole. It was the final pit stop of the race. It was a green flag sequence. The Toyotas had a disastrous, as they kept saying, run to pit road. I don't know why they broke it up so bad. There was like 4 and 4 on 2 separate laps. And then they weren't together coming off pit road, and they were going to be losing time to the leaders, and they got themselves kind of packed up there a little bit. And then the Fords, I think everybody had pitted, and the pack was kind of starting to come back together at this point. Lagana did another masterful job of being a roadblock and then just blending into the line in like 12th. You can't do it better than that. Very impressed with his ability to do stuff like that time and time out. But Michael McDowell during this whole process is staying out, and he wasn't pitting. He was the leader of the race, and that was his whole plan, was to not pit. And the only way that was going to work is if they got a yellow flag.
His crew chief said they would have made it without the yellow flag.
Disagree.
That Hamlin talked about it too. He says I don't know if they could or not, but that's their plan was to stay out even without a yellow.
How would that even work? Like how would that even work?
I'd have to go back and really watch it. I don't know if there's even footage of it when those guys they picked the pace back up before pit stops. You know, they saved fuel till they got to their window, and then within a few laps of them wanting to pit, they all picked their pace back up. I'm curious to know if McDowell just kind of just stayed off and just kept running less throttle than everyone else did, or what. But Denny said if he kept the pace he was at, the pack probably would have caught him with like around a lap to go. If he kept like the 65% throttle at most he ever had or something at that point. And if he'd eventually gone wide open, it says it would have been close if he had enough fuel. Denny was kind of skeptical if he would have had enough fuel also, but I believe that's the longest in the next gen era anybody's ever gone at Daytona without having to pit for fuel.
So he was still saving fuel while out front by himself.
Yes.
Okay. Then maybe. I don't know. I'm no mathematician, so
yeah. Even at the point where everyone had made their green flag pit stops, he was still running like 65 at most % throttle.
That's impressive. That's definitely a strategy. But
imagine the whole field did that.
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
And then he gets the blessing that he needed. Allegedly didn't need, but definitely helped him with the yellow flag coming out. And he ends up being the leader. He doesn't pit. He's going to stay out and try to make it to the end on fuel. Ultimately, working out, I guess, for him. Where did he finish? Do you have the results pulled up?
Yeah, I think he was caught up in that.
Yeah, I believe he was as well.
Was he the one that ran into the back of Hocevar, or was he at the bottom of the race?
No, he was at the bottom. I think he got clipped as Hocevar came across.
Yeah.
Eric Jones is who wrecked Hocevar.
Yeah. McDowell ended up 22nd.
Okay. So it pays off in the sense of he got the opportunity to restart and was in contention for the win.
Yeah.
What was that, about 4 to go when they restarted?
Yeah.
And, you saw some of the Spire cars up there with McDowell. You saw Hocevar up there. When that thing restarted, I will say this before I get too far ahead of myself. Before the green flag pit cycle, as they were, excuse me, as they were riding around there saving fuel, I saw the 45 car in the pack midway through the field, and I almost texted you because it just dawned on me in real time of like, I have not heard about Tyler Reddick in this race at all. I don't think I've heard about him all weekend. And there was just like for whatever reason, it caught my attention at that point, and I couldn't figure out if he was actually in a bad spot, like he just didn't have a strong race car, or if it was one of those deals to where he just was waiting to shine at the end. And I don't know that he really was waiting to shine at the end. I think he just kind of caught some lucky breaks along the way, but it definitely it was just weird. It was just one of those things that caught your attention of like, I've not heard from the 45 yet today, and what do you know? He ends up winning the race. Uh, but yeah, as they restart with 4 to go, the Spire cars were out front. Did you feel like if Carson Hocevar got pushed out there and just blocked his tail off for the last 3 laps, did you feel like that was going to be a worthy winner of the
Oh,
Daytona
if
500?
he, yeah,
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
That's my point. Of we get random winners every now and then, and Stenhouse is actually making his Daytona 500 look a little more solid in that 47 car because he was in position to win this thing too. And he said that was by strategy, that he was in the back all day and then came to the front at the end. So, but you do get some kind of oddball winners from time to time, and at least at that moment in time, you think that's kind of a disappointing that they now have a crown jewel win and have a Daytona 500 because they don't necessarily deserve it in in a fan's head. But I didn't feel that way with Hocevar. I was like, man, this guy's been up here all speed weeks. I feel like he's really got an opportunity to win this race. And then Eric Jones crashed him. He does the same thing that Heim did. He kind of gets him off center a little bit and hooks the 77 down across the racetrack, takes out the 71 along the way.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that Jones is being shoved into Hocevar also. I think everyone was pushing and shoving in the front few rows there, so I wouldn't necessarily blame him for that. Hocevar also was kind of in that similar spot that Allgaier was in, where he was lower on the track and pulled up in front of Eric Jones. So I'm not like putting blame on Eric or anything. It's just kind of a racing incident in that situation.
Eric Jones wrecked him. So we move on after that, and the TV didn't really show how big of a wreck it was. And I know that Jeff Gluck had posted online, and I'm curious to know what you thought. He said that he didn't realize until they saw some fan angles how much of a wreck that was.
Yeah.
When those guys started to crash. Did you understand how big that wreck was after they went out of frame?
No, I thought maybe it was a few cars. Hocevar, when he came down, took another car into the infield. Maybe another car spun around or something in the back. I thought it was just a few cars, and I thought they all like scattered, but I didn't realize how many were off the track and going back up the track into turn one.
So, but the reason that I asked that is because as they wrecked, my impression was this is a big wreck, and the reason I was looking at the 9 and the 47 to see who was out front because I'm like, they're going to throw the yellow.
Yeah, I was like, come on, go, Chase, you know.
I was 100% sure that they were going to throw the yellow there because I was sure because I could tell it was a big wreck, and what confirmed that for me was down the back stretch as those guys were jostling for position. There was like 6 cars, and nobody was catching them. Like if they had just wrecked a few cars out of the way, the pack would have swallowed those 6 guys at some point, and the pack never showed up.
Yeah, I just figured that enough guys slowed down to miss the wreck and stuff that they still had to regain their energy also, and the guys up front who dodged it were already still had all their momentum. So
I don't know. I was definitely when Hocevar got spun, I thought this is the end of the race right here, and who's going to be out front? That was my only question.
Well, I still thought that same thought.
Right, but I guess because I thought it was guaranteed the caution was coming out because it was such a big wreck.
Yeah.
So I guess then the next question comes up: do you think that there should have been a yellow thrown there?
Should have been, probably, safety reasons. Am I glad there wasn't? I'd have been glad there was at the middle of the backstretch. But I mean, it still was kind of an incredible finish the way things worked out, and I think we talk a little bit about it last week or whatever about racing back to the line. Maybe it was just a conversation you and I. I think it was just you and I talked about it. And, maybe the last lap, as long as like the start finish line is clear to turn one or something, racing back to the line seemed like the right thing to do. They've been kind of holding their flags all weekend for a lot of even wrecks and stuff that they wait to see if they get going again before they put it out. So they were consistent all weekend, and if this is kind of the standard going forward, then I don't see a problem with it.
I'm not upset about it at all from a race fan standpoint. I love seeing the green flag finish. I love the fact that they came all the way back around to the start finish line. If you're asking me purely on a safety standard, the yellow probably should have come out. But I'm not really criticizing NASCAR for not throwing it either. tell me what you think about this. You remember the old overtime line that if they crossed a certain line and the yellow flag came out, then the race was over. But if the yellow came out before that line,
Yeah.
it was like halfway down the backstretch or something. I feel like there should be a designated spot, and it should change at each racetrack as to if they start to wreck here.
This is the finish line back here or
No,
something. That
if they start to wreck beyond this point on the racetrack, we're going to keep it green.
okay.
So if say at um, Atlanta, if it's off turn two, if I think it could be further back towards the start finish line from there. But if you said the exit of turn two, where turn two meets the backstretch, if a car starts wrecking beyond that point, we're gonna let them race all the way back around. Or if but you couldn't have a wreck in the tri-oval there at Daytona at full speed and
Yeah.
let them race back around because you're going to be coming through too much debris and cars parked and all that. There's got to be some sort of safe deceleration point after they cross the line.
Yeah.
I want there to be the ability to deploy track workers right away on the last lap, knowing that, hey, yeah, we're still racing, but what's going to happen here is once they come across the start finish line, they have a safe distance to get the cars slowed down. So if we could do something like that, I would be very much okay with taking this controversy out of it. I don't like the fact that safety workers weren't able to get to the cars right away until I mean Daytona's a big racetrack. You got to come all the way back around there. Um, and they were at full song already. It's not like it was a restart.
Yeah.
So I guess I get that to a degree. I'm not upset about the finish of the race. Should they, from a safety standpoint, throw in the yellow flag? Maybe. I'm happy they didn't. And that's probably hypocritical, and that's probably a lot of things, but I'm okay with the way that worked out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure NASCAR can listen to drivers' radios and visually see. I mean, if somebody was on fire or car upside down somewhere along the line or whatnot. I know that Ryan Blaney had the wind knocked out of him. I saw a clip of him driving away, which seems to happen a lot. If he doesn't win, he's getting the wind knocked out of him. It seems like so. But he was driving when he was talking. So, I mean, NASCAR can see what cars are getting and going and driving away also. So I think that probably played a lot into effect of their decision to let it go.
And so after that point, you see cars building runs and guys are attempting to pass, and guys are falling away from the leaders, and it's essentially a race between Stenhouse and Elliott down the backstretch. And then it looks like Chase is clearly in the lead, and he's going to stay in the lead. And he's got a real lead. And as they're going through 3 and 4, I'm thinking to myself, Chase Elliott's winning the Daytona 500.
So did I.
And I'm seeing Brad and Joey come up there in the back, and I'm like, can Brad get there? I mean, it looks like he's gonna have a run coming off 4. Can he get there? And Reddick he like pulled up on his. I forgot about the fact that it's his teammate Riley Herbst. You never see Riley Herbst, so it's hard to remember that he's a 2311 car. And he just shook him off. Like he just went outside of him, and then dropped down in front of him basically, and had the opportunity to try to attempt a pass there, and then that kind of put Elliott in the middle and the 45 on the bottom, and Herbst was there behind Elliott, but he wasn't pushing him because that's illegal. Or at least you would think so. And Brad and Joey are coming with this huge run up top, and Stenhouse was there somewhere. I don't know if he was in that train with those guys or what. But anyways, Herbst throws this. It's an insane block, right? Like it's stupid to move up there and try to take away that position. Like you were gonna get wrecked no matter what.
So Denny brought this up, and he had all his SMT data and stuff. Says Riley Herbst
Probably
probably
Denny Hamlin on the podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what
I mean,
sorry, go ahead.
but even I thought the same thing. I don't think Herbst was necessarily trying to throw a block. I think Herbst had such a run. Also, he thought he could jump to the outside and win the race. I don't think he was trying to block the guys. I don't think he was paying attention or nobody told him outside. I thought he was just trying to get above Elliott to make it like a 3 wide finish. Now Denny said, well, when Herbst was going back up the track, that he hit the brakes to not push the 9. Still tried to get the run to the outside, and he thinks when he hit the brakes, that slowed him enough that Kozlowski got to his outside and into the wall they went.
So he's trying to make a move with a run to past the 9 for the win of the Daytona 500, and he hit the brakes.
Yeah. Just so he didn't hit the 9. He tapped the brakes or whatever. Just, I don't know.
So, but correct me if I'm wrong. You hit the brakes, that slows the car down.
Obviously, but
Okay. So
it's not like he slammed on him,
that's going to break the run a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay.
He was still
So
quicker
you're trying
than.
to get everything that you can to win the Daytona 500 and slingshot around the 9 and
Yeah.
hit the brakes. My point is, I'm not
Okay.
buying this.
All right.
I think that it was a panic move on Riley's part. He might have went out there thinking that he had a shot, and then saw how fast the 6 was coming, and thinking I can get up and cover the spot before the 6 gets here, and maybe he doesn't completely run me over, or it was a situation like you're saying to where he didn't even see him coming, and he just tried to make the move out there. But the fact that he wasn't willing to push the 9, I understand him not wanting to push his teammate because the teammate bailed on him.
Yeah.
I just don't know what he was doing. Like, there was no good moves for Riley Herbst.
I mean, Riley Herbst could have just kept pushing him, his teammate. I mean, if it was, I would have thought if Riley first instinct, if he didn't think he was going to win the 500, was just to keep pushing Reddick, and he had enough room to get down behind Reddick because Reddick had passed. Was it Zane Smith that was pushing Elliott? I think it was him, but once they got separated, there was like a couple car links between Elliott and Smith, and that's when Reddick got down behind Elliott and got the run and went up. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong. Anyway, I just remember Riley Herbst was right behind Reddick, and then Reddick dove low under Elliott because Elliott blocked up because Reddick started going up, then Reddick ended up going below him, and then there was enough room for Herbst to get below there, but just to keep pushing. I think he thought he had a shot to win at the 500. He just didn't want to clip the 9 on the way up, but ended up clipping him anyways. So.
Yeah. So you're not putting that wreck blame on Riley Herbst.
Oh, I mean, he wrecked everybody.
But you're trying to defend him also.
Yeah, I mean, he was going for the 500 and wrecked everybody.
So that makes everything okay as long as you say I was going for it.
I guess it seems to work for everyone else too. So.
Okay. All right, it's an interesting dynamic we got going on the show tonight here.
Well, didn't Joey Logano wreck Brad Keselowski going for the Daytona 500?
No, that is wrong. I hate that people keep saying that. First of all, Joey was leading the race.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Second of all, it was Michael McDowell that wrecked that whole bottom line. Michael McDowell pushed Keselowski into Logano, and C's just parted in front of him, and McDowell walked into a win.
Okay.
That's how that Daytona 500
I just remember them two wrecked.
I'm sure you do. And that's what everybody says. Oh, the Penske cars, they get up to the front, and then they wreck each other. Michael McDowell wrecked him in that race. I will die on that hill. Watch it back 100 times like I have, and you'll have the same conclusion unless you're biased against those two guys, which most people are. Anyways. So Riley Herbst wrecks the entire field at Daytona, and of cars that matter. Chase Elliott didn't have a chance at winning that race entering the trial. Do you agree with that?
I would agree with that, yeah.
There was just too much momentum coming from behind him. There was nobody pushing him. Herbst wasn't pushing him. Reddick wasn't pushing him. There was nobody there, and it was just like the 9 might as well have had the parking brake on. Like it was nobody was going to. He was not going to be the first one back to the line.
I think it could have been close had Herbst not, because Herbst still got up beside him somehow when Elliott got clipped. At the point Elliott got clipped, he still had a fender on Reddick. I was curious what the side draft would have done. I don't think it would have got him there, but it would have made a closer finish. But I mean, we're not going to know now. I think if Elliott had been just a foot lower on a track, I think he would have missed the wreck, and we could have saw what would have happened. But had Herbst stayed with Reddick, there would have been no shot.
Do you feel bad for Brad Keselowski at all?
I don't personally. I don't think he would have got there, but I mean, he obviously, I think he deserves a Daytona 500 at some point. I feel bad for his last many years at RFK. I don't think it's come together as well as he'd hoped, or maybe it's just the next gen car that he hasn't performed in also. But I mean, yeah, I'd like to see him get a Daytona 500, but I don't think it's quite the heartbreak that people are making it out to be of him not getting through that wreck. I don't know if that's what you're getting at or not, but
well, that's. I mean, if Brad got to the line clean, like if he had that huge run and if he still lost to Elliott or Reddick or whoever, and was the third car there, as long as he didn't end up getting wrecked, I would be like, hey, that's racing. That's just how you had a big
Yeah.
run, you didn't get there. But the fact that like he did have the big run and then a moron wrecked the entire front runners, that's kind of where my
Yeah.
issue is.
I mean, you could feel bad for all of them guys for a moron wrecking everybody's, but
I do,
I
especially the 22.
but after Reddick got below Elliott, I don't think anybody was beating Reddick to the line.
Maybe not. I don't know. Like you just said, we'll never know. So Tyler Reddick wins the Daytona 500. He hasn't won a race at all in 2025. This being his first win since
2024.
You are right.
Was it Talladega?
That's the only one that comes to my mind. I didn't look it up to see. That was I was going to ask you to look that up earlier, and I knew there was something else, and I forgot. I'm not sure when his last win was. Talladega is the only one that comes to mind, so I'm going to go with that. And pretty sure that I think it was McDowell and Keselowski got wrecked in that one. That kind of opened the seas for Reddick to come underneath of him and win there in the Tri-Oval. Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin, they win the lawsuit and the Daytona 500 in the span of just a few months. I did see Jim Franson there in victory lane shaking MJ's hand. It's an interesting dynamic anymore. Ryan Blaney after the race said that we got to fix the Toyota roadblocks. This has to do with the fuel saving thing. He took a little bit of criticism from other fans about that. How do you feel about that? Do you think that there needs to be a NASCAR step in fix? I heard something wild, and I'm curious to know what your thoughts are.
If there's going to be a fix, it's got to be a fix to the car to stop this. I just assumed one team or another would try to do the same thing, and I assume the Fords. I believe Fords in previous years have got up front and did block the 3 lanes and whatnot. I don't think Toyota's the only one doing it. So that was I think even Chevys, if they got all 3 out front, probably would have done the same thing. And it's not like the guys behind you don't have bumpers to push the guys. I mean,
well, that's where my confusion is too, because like if you're somebody that's not interested in saving fuel and you want to go, why can't you go? Like, why can't you shove one of those cars out there as far as you can take them with your line, and then just get them?
Go, yeah.
I don't know why that is. Maybe there is a reason, but like, dude, that's my argument with Ryan Blaney is if you think that they shouldn't be holding up the line, well, what's stopping you from shuffle them out and going?
Yeah, I mean, I understand Ryan Blaney. I think was further back in the pack at this point. So I guess if you're like stuck in a 3x3 grid, it's pretty hard, maybe. But
if that's the Ford plan that we're gonna go here, well then they're lined up enough that somebody should have gone.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it wasn't like it was like Toyota's 3x3 back. It wasn't like all the Toyotas had all the front 3 rows filled and everything. They just had the front line, and there were still Chevys and Fords behind there. So I imagine they're like, all right, we can stick with this strategy. Let's do this and go with it. I think Ryan Blaney's frustrated with how this is being done, but to me, it's the racing product that has to be fixed with the car. I don't think it's the strategy guys with the teams.
Yeah, I agree with that. I know that Blaney was just frustrated. I love Ryan Blaney, so I got no issue with that. The wild thing that I heard was I think it was Gluck's podcast where they said that anybody not going 100% on their throttle is going to be penalized. That was a fan's idea.
Yeah, that's a little extreme.
Yeah, I'm not in favor of that at all. That's a stupid idea. I don't even want to get into it. It's dumb.
Whole field BDQ.
Yeah. And then the I think it was NASCAR Insights I saw. I thought it was interesting is that there was one car all weekend. Well, maybe you're looking at the notes and you can see the answer. Don't look at the notes. One car all weekend was not involved in a wreck in the race or the duels. Do you know who it was?
Yeah, it was Josh Berry.
Did you see the notes?
I saw it on Twitter.
You saw that tweet? Yeah. Okay.
I saw the notes there. I'm like, yeah, I did see that, so it wasn't. Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting. The 21 car was the only car, and he was up front. Like, he was racing. It's not like he just hung out in the back. I saw him. I don't know that I saw him leading. I can't remember him leading, but One other thing that we should mention too is NASCAR moved this race up, the start time up, because of weather, and that ended up playing into their favor really well because it ended up raining in Victory Lane, from what I understand, as Reddick was there. Rained in the whole racetrack, but when they were in Victory Lane, that's
Yeah.
that's the time that it started to rain. I didn't even know that the race got moved up. I thought it was coming on at 2:30, and I turned it on at 2:15, and the BJ McLeod was already wrecking.
Oh.
I I was trying to take care of some last minute things around the house before I sat down for the rest of the afternoon to watch the Daytona 500, and I turned it on and like, well, they're already racing.
Oh.
Yeah, that was my only complaint with it getting moved up, is that I wasn't aware of it. But that's on me, not anybody else.
Yeah, well, you didn't watch the Xfinity Series live, did you?
The Xfinity Series live.
Or the O'Reilly Series live?
I
You watched it
didn't.
recorded,
I did
right?
watch
Yeah.
it recorded.
You probably skipped through the spots where they said it was moved up.
Oh, they announced it the day before.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I didn't see it on Twitter, because I was like on Twitter religiously on Saturday night, spewing my Austin Hill hate. But okay, that's 100% on me then, because
Yeah.
I didn't catch that at all. There was a Facebook post I saw. I wanted to share it with you because I thought it was just that good. So this is in a group called Daytona International Speedway something. The rest of it, it's you have to click the thing to see what the whole name is, and I just took a screenshot of it. But this guy's got a picture of his camper and a picture of himself, and the post reads, "Mature single guy attending the 500 infield camping spot. Beautiful new redwood fifth wheel. Looking for single woman to simply hang out with. Thank you. I will be there all week." Well, my first thought was I didn't know Ryan went to Daytona. And then the first comment on this was, you know what? Yeah. Some guy commented on that. The guy's just out here shooting a shot, Hey, I'm at Daytona and I got a camper. You want to come hang out? Let's do it. That I saw that post. I was like, that's hilarious. Okay, I got a trivia question for you. I'm probably not always going to have trivia questions, but I've been fortunate enough to come up with these. William Byron was going for 3 Daytona 500s in a row. It's never been done before. Obviously didn't get it. So there have been other drivers that have won back-to-back Daytona 500s. Can you tell me how many, and this includes Byron, he's included in the total, how many drivers have won back-to-back Daytona 500s?
4?
4 other ones, other than Byron. Yes, there's 5 total. Can you give me any guesses? I'll give you 3 strikes. You should know 2 of them.
Richard Petty and...
Okay, you should know 3 of them.
Oh, was he one?
Yeah, Richard Petty.
William Byron.
Yep.
Was it Denny Hamlin?
Denny Hamlin. 2 more.
Okay.
I would say one. I'll give you a hint here. One's old and one's really old. By really old, I mean I didn't even look up the years, but I would guess probably 50 years ago, and one maybe 30 years ago. One in the 90s, one in the 70s. Again, I'm guessing. I didn't look up the dates.
I don't think Gordon went back to back.
He did not.
No. So 30 years ago would have been early 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, now mid 90s.
Yeah.
Man.
For the one in the 90s, I'll give you a hint. It was a yellow car.
Yellow car.
It was owned by Morgan McClure.
Is that a 4?
It was a 4.
I'm picturing the car, but the name is not coming to me. And it's a well-known name, isn't it?
Yeah. His old man race, too. Way back in the day. He was a little cuckoo. Somebody's watching the screen.
I know. Oh.
Because that was a gold pin I just gave you. Whose dad's name was Cuckoo? Sterling
What?
Marlin.
Oh, okay. I know Sterling Marlin.
His dad's name was Cuckoo Marlin.
I didn't
Okay,
even know.
well, all right.
I didn't know about his dad, but Sterling. Yeah. Oh man,
The other one was Cale Yarborough.
Kelly Yarborough. I probably could have thrown him out at some point. But
I
yeah.
was just looking for you to guess somebody.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like everything just went blank.
All right.
It's almost like that Family Feud when you watch people give dumb answers, just it's probably because their brain freezes and they're put on the spot.
Yeah. Name an animal that starts with an R. Chicken. All right. So that was trivia time. One thing that we failed to do in our preseason show, when we kind of laid out what our expectations were, we didn't pull out any championship picks. So I'm gonna look back at our sheet here, if I've still got it pulled up. Looking at who we put in the chase, do you know who you have predicted to be your champion?
Let me look at. I think I gotta go Chase Briscoe.
That's who I was gonna take. With that being the case, I'm gonna say Christopher Bell. Then I think he's been somebody that's been very consistent and has an opportunity to close it out over a 10-race final chase schedule. So we'll mark that down. Well, can I highlight him? I'm gonna try it. He's gonna be my champ. So Christopher Bell for me, Chase Briscoe for you. Along that same line, I want to do our picks for Atlanta in our garage area challenge on the show. Do you have a pick for Atlanta?
Well, since I beat you this weekend, I think you go first. So.
But it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I don't think it really matters.
Oh,
I guess
okay.
if we wanted the same guy.
Same driver, yeah.
Yeah, we got to use up everybody, so that's fine. I'll go first then. I'm going to take Carson Hocevar. I think he finished third there last year. He was in the mix for the win, and the Spire cars are generally fast at plate tracks. I feel like I don't know what they're going to look like throughout the rest of the year, so I'm okay with burning him up at a track that I think he really has a good shot at. I'll take him at Atlanta.
Yeah, I think I'll take Austin Cindric. I use him up here.
Okay.
Penske cars always really run up front, so.
Yeah, didn't not this one for the 2 car. Not at Daytona. Okay, I think that pretty much wraps up Daytona 500 chatter, unless you got anything else.
No.
How long have we been going?
About an hour.
I do want to cover these other series. We don't have to spend a lot of time talking about them. I'm not going to say the O'Reilly Auto Parts series. My mouth just doesn't form those words real well. No disrespect to O'Reilly, although I'm more of an Advanced Auto Parts guy, just because they sponsor Blaney.
We're Napa guys.
Yeah, I know you are. So I'm going to just go ahead and call it the Grand National Series. I'm going to jump on the Kevin Harvick bandwagon there and just call it the Grand National Series. Last year's winner, Jesse Love, had a strong car in the Grand National race Saturday night. Ended up finishing 9th. Had a real good shot to win. Are there no Fords in Xfinity? I was looking through the field and I'm like, this team's no longer a Ford team. You know, the Haas Factor team's no longer a Ford team. That was like the powerhouse team for Ford in the Xfinity series, and there just don't seem to be. I've got them looked up. I
thought the 25 car was out there. And
I looked it up. Daniel Dye, Luke Fenhouse, and Nick Sanchez. They were the only Fords in the field.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took me forever to spot one.
Yeah, I remember some off-season people online that were worried about Fords in NASCAR period, especially Xfinity Series. They were about all depleted, and I think Truck Series really only has ThorSport. Is that who they are?
Yeah.
And then you have Penske and RFK for the Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, well, FRM too. But,
yeah, that's true.
But it just feels like Ford is slowly kind of dying out of the sport almost.
It does feel that way. It doesn't feel good either.
Yeah.
They got to do something to get a little more focused on all 3 series, really. Because that was my thought after the truck race was, you know, as a Ford guy, is can they win all 3 races? And then when I was watching the Xfinity series, I'm like, well, probably not this one because they've only got 3 bullets, and they're not exactly what I'd call top tier drivers either. So I'm not really sure why that's all shaken out that way, but it doesn't seem like there's any Fords in that series.
Yeah, I believe Gluck pulled up I think it was him who put up an image of the scorecard or something like that, and it was like top 20 Chevys and one bow ties in the middle or something like that.
Wow. Natalie Decker, I know that you're a big fan of hers, at least her online content. Biggest idiot of the weekend?
Century, maybe.
I mean, listen, Chris Wright still races. I think it's a little hard to hang that title on her right away. I don't know what she was doing. Like, she just went barreling into that wreck, and then she was complaining about it on the radio. Of like, well, I never thought he was going to slide up the racetrack. Well, you still have to hit your brakes. So like, maybe try slowing down.
There was people 3 or 4 car lengths behind him when they started wrecking that were slowed down enough to miss the wreck. And she had half a track to hit the brakes a little bit.
I don't know why she's a race car driver at all. I'm sure that you saw it. Did you see her picture with Bert Kreischer?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew you'd have that.
Well, everybody else retweets it and stuff. That's
Yeah,
it's like it's forced on me, you know?
Yeah, I didn't look it up. It just showed up on my timeline. If you haven't seen that picture, go ahead and look it up for yourself. I'm not even gonna talk about it any more than that.
That wasn't even most out of pocket. Did you see her clip with Matt Tiff podcast?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I don't know what's.
I was like, Matt, why do you keep asking these questions? Yeah, it was a very interesting weekend for Natalie Decker. She was being interviewed after the wreck, and my wife was she like, I'll be watching anything, but specifically the race, and she'll just be kind of hanging out in the living room. And she looked up and she goes, "Oh, she races?" And I said, "Not very well." And I kind of gave her a little background on Natalie, and she's like, "Oh, okay." And I said, "Yeah." And then I showed her the picture of her with Bert Kreischer, and she's like, "Yeah, I guess you were right." Some of the stuff that I said about her. And I guess we've avoided saying it for long enough, but the evil villain, Austin Hill, he wins again for the 4th time. 4th time that he's won the Daytona spring race, which it's an impressive feat.
Yeah.
Austin Hill, to me, I don't like him 100%. Like, he is one of my most hated drivers. And my wife can confirm that after the Grand National race on Saturday. But I don't like him, don't like anything about him. You cannot disrespect his ability to race at Daytona, Talladega, Atlanta, plate racing style tracks. Say what you want about the guy. He's very good at that style of racing. Has he won at anything other than that style of racetrack? I can't think of him winning anything else, but I don't know that.
I think he has, but it's not coming to me right away.
That is, like I said, it's his 4th time winning the spring Daytona race. It's his 11th win on plate tracks, what we're calling plate tracks.
Yeah.
So that's very impressive. I kind of put him in that category of like Dale Jr. in the Bud 8. Every time that they showed up, that 8 DEI car was going to be fast.
Yeah.
Didn't matter who was driving it. But Dale Jr. was also going to be a very good plate racer, no matter what car he was in. And then you put the two things together, they're almost unbeatable. And Dale Jr. won a lot of races in the Cup Series in that Bud 8 at those plate tracks. And Austin Hill has won a lot of races in the 21 RCR car at those plate tracks. I can't believe that these other idiots in that series are not able to get him shuffled out of the lead, though. Because other than Jesse Love, you don't have anybody that's working with him. And these other guys are supposed to be working together somehow, and they're not able to get him shuffled out of there. So I know that Gio Ruggiero was, I guess that was in the truck race, though, that he was kind of disappointed with how guys work together. And it just seemed like they had the opportunity to get him shuffled out. They had him shuffled out at one point, and he clawed his way back to the lead, and they just wouldn't pass him.
Well, I remember he pitted before like the final green flag run, put brand new tires on it, and he just drove back to the front like it was like it's like he didn't need anybody else to draft. It's almost like as if I don't know. It's almost like if he could qualify. I don't know. It just feels like he can drive the car by himself. He doesn't need anybody behind him whatsoever. He just goes, you know.
But you can't block every lane at the same time if they can formulate a run. If you can get 3 lanes with a run, you got to pick one.
There's only a couple times I've seen cars get beside him. Once they get beside him, then he just drives back out front, and then he goes back and forth again. So I don't know. I gotta imagine you can't right hook him, but you can left hook him.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I would do. That's what you would do. I played enough NASCAR 6 with you. I know that's what you would do. Yeah, anything else you wanted to cover from that race? I think we definitely gave him his credit there. I mean, again, can't stand the guy. Great plate racer.
Yeah.
The truck series, it was a star-studded lineup for the truck race, and I think that pretty much all of those stars ended up wrecking in the race. It did make me laugh. Chandler Smith ends up winning the race, and I think he was approximately 74th coming down the backstretch there to come back to the start-finish line. And like I just said a second ago, Gio was frustrated with how the Toyotas work together. I don't know exactly what their plan was supposed to be, but whatever it was didn't sound like they were on it. The kind of the results of the star guys. John Hunter, he ended up finishing 5th. He's a cup racer, allegedly. Ricky Stenhouse 6th. Travis Pastrana 15th. Didn't really hear a whole lot from him in the race, but he did get a 15th place finish. A lot of guys did wreck. That's partially attrition. Tony Stewart finished 36th after truck wrecked right in his lap. Wasn't anything he could do about that. And your brother Cletus ends up finishing 37th. The funny part about that, and I'm sure you've got plenty to say about it because you're a Freedom Factory follower, but I mentioned to my wife when I sat down and watched that race Friday night that I said, yeah, they got Cletus McFarland's in this race, and I had to explain to her who that was. And I said, how many laps do you think before he ends up wrecking? And she's like, why, is he not good? I said, he's a YouTuber. I said, I know he can drive a race car, but like, he's here because of his YouTube money, essentially.
Yeah.
And now he's racing in one of the top 3 touring series in NASCAR. And I like, just at some point he's going to wreck. Literally the next lap, he ended up wrecking. As a relative of his, what was your thoughts?
Okay. Well, watching, I was hoping he just dropped to the back. He himself says, I need to learn the race, and I don't know if you watched his interview, but he's like, these guys get 3 wide right off the bat, and I just wanted to drive. Says they got down to the bottom. I was watching him, and you could tell off of 3 or 4, he kept pushing up the track. It was like I think he struggles with holding the truck to the yellow line down there. And he's not the only one that has trouble with if the truck's not right and stuff. And I was afraid that was going to happen. I've seen even couple drivers do it all the time off of 3 and 4 Daytona, just that tight loose or whatever, and take off. So I was just hoping he didn't hit the wall when it happened, and he hit the wall. So I mean, it is what it is, and he kind of came back and nearly got top 10 in ARCA after going a lap down. So I mean, he's learning something, but I think he himself knows he's got a ways to go before he gets to where he wants to go.
Yeah, Carson this far, he also ended up spinning about 56 times in that race, and he ended up being several laps down. I think 3 laps down, and he still was racing at the lead of the pack. Like he was running in a position to where if he had been on the lead lap, he probably would have been in contention for the win. Just he had all kinds of trouble and ended up still coming up and racing up there up front. Hocevar is, I think, very talented plate racer as well. I just kind of need the equipment to do that. Has your opinion on Carson Hocevar changed over time? I used to think he was an idiot. Not necessarily a bad race car driver. I just thought he was a dumb person. And
definitely, yeah.
You thought so too?
Yeah, I thought that. I mean, I still think I don't think he's as much of an idiot, but I still think he makes bad decisions. I still feel questionable. A couple of them, the one spin out in the truck series, I thought at the start finish line he probably could have kept it straight and lifted it around. I still think he kind of spun it around to grab a caution, but I think those were the biggest things. He would like purposely wreck himself for someone else to bring out a caution, and that itself has slowed down, stopped. But I don't know if it's just kind of the social media following that he has now, or that I see more of him, or it just kind of makes him more of a likable guy that I kind of like to root for him and see how he does, but it's definitely my thoughts about it have changed over the last few years.
I'd say mine have as well. And I don't think he's an idiot anymore, and I don't think he's a bad race car driver. I think that he still does dumb stuff from time to time, but I think a lot of young race car drivers do that, and uh, I think that he's going to be, I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to win races. I would venture to say, even in an Aspire car, he's probably going to win more races than Ty Gibbs in the Gibbs car. And I'm not all the way out on that limb yet, but I'm thinking about crawling out there. um, the finish of the truck race. I'm going to tell you straight up. I wrote the note after the truck race. I don't remember what the finish looked like. Do you remember what it was like? I know that Chandler Smith won from 74th on the backstretch. It was a wild finish, and Michael McDowell wrecks, and John Hunter Nemechek is an idiot. That's what I have written down.
Yeah, I don't know. John Hunter Nemechek went up the track to block a couple guys or something like that. I just remember it was four wide, and Smith and whoever was pushing Smith just, I think it was a teammate of his or something, but felt like they passed at least six cars coming from turn four. But that's about all I remember at this point.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it to figure that one out because we had so much other drama in the meantime
Yeah.
that kind of got pushed out of my memory. But yeah, I remember it just being like, I can't believe that Chandler won that race from where he was at coming down the backstretch.
I mean, the weekend as a whole, I know we talked about 23-11 winning the Daytona 500 after the lawsuit, but Front Row Motorsports won the truck race after the lawsuit because they were involved in that. And then RCR won the Xfinity race, and they were part of it too. And then, of course, 23-11 won the 500. So it was lawsuit versus NASCAR this weekend.
And the fans win for the first time in a while, so I was happy about that. Anything else that you want to talk about from the Daytona weekend?
I don't have anything else.
I think we've covered it. I mean,
Yeah.
we've spent a lot of time going through it so far. The next race is going to be Atlanta. All three series are going to be there. Last year, Christopher Bell won the Cup Series race in a three-wide finish as the yellow flag came out. I think it was Kyle Larson and Hocevar were also
Yeah.
in that. The O'Reilly Series, Austin Hill ended up going back-to-back, and I think I remember watching that on my phone in the Arby's parking lot, if I'm not mistaken.
Austin Hill one's the only one I couldn't quite remember how it played out.
And then, if I recall this correctly, the truck race was earlier in the afternoon, and Kyle Busch ended up winning that.
I remember watching Kyle Busch win it, but I don't remember if it was.
It was daylight.
It was
right?
definitely
Yeah,
daylight.
okay.
Whether it was the same day or not, I don't remember.
So I remember the whole scenario there. Kyle's racing the truck again, right?
That I don't know.
I think that's right. I think he's racing the 7 for Spire at Atlanta. What do you think the odds are that you see the same 3 list of winners?
For if Kyle is racing, I could see him. I think he dominated the year previously at Atlanta too. I don't know if he won 2 years in a row at Atlanta with this style or not, but up. I mean, to me, it's whoever's up front type of deal. I can't say Christopher Bell's going to be back up there again, but the O'Reilly series with Austin Hill, I could see that.
Yeah, I think that there's a chance. I think that definitely there's a strong chance Kyle Busch and Austin Hill could repeat, and I think that Carson Hocevar is going to end up getting the win on the Cup side. That's why I picked him. But yeah, that I think is a real possibility. I don't know that I don't feel as strongly about Bell going back to back, but I do think that the other two definitely could. I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
This is going to be one of the times that I actually think that my pre-race pick could line up with my garage area pick, to where I actually think Carson Hocevar could win the race.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not just burning him at this point because I think that he might have a strong finish. I actually think he would be a contender for the win. But is anybody that sticks out to you is going to be somebody that you think could contend for the win at Atlanta in the Cup side?
Chase Elliott, he's got 2 wins with this style of track with the next gen car. I think Kyle Larson was kind of strong last spring. Obviously, he was up there 3 wide and stuff. I could just say HMS for almost any track at all, but I think even Byron was up front, but he got caught up in a wreck. I think with Cindric last year. Just kind of brought out that one of the final cautions or something. It was with Penske car, at least that's what I remember. But you know, obviously I said Cindric. I think Blaney and Logano are going to have a good shot too.
What about somebody that's not as obvious?
Stenhouse, I think in the summer race, whatever, he was running up front in the top 10. So that'd be kind of my other outlier because I almost picked him over Cindric too. So
I'll tell you who I think is kind of a dark horse to run well is Daniel Suarez. He's run this race before. He's in the Spire car. Um, I'll be curious to see how he runs in this race. This is going to be kind of one of the races that I think he'll be better at. That's not a road course racetrack.
Yeah.
I think that this is definitely going to be. I feel very good about if Suarez is going to run well this year, he's going to start it off at Atlanta. I think this is one of his best shots. Anything else you want to say before we shut this thing down?
That's all I got.
I think we've gone long enough so far. Make sure to follow our social medias on X at Garage Area, Instagram at The Garage Area, TikTok at the.garage.area. Follow me on X, Adam White _22, and Ryan at Ryan WW924. And we will see you guys after Atlanta. Thanks for watching.